Hey everybody, welcome to something new. This is a Grow Up Level Up special presentation all about me, Samson's first Pokemon Challenge Cup. So the story is about yesterday, by the time I'm recording this, I went to my first in-person Pokemon trading card game weekly. I thought it was just going to be a normal weekly challenge, but it turned out to be a challenge cup, which apparently has a little higher stakes. You earn challenge points and all that. But it's my first time attending in person and playing in person. I ended up winning 4-1, meaning that I got into the top four of all the players there. I think there was about 20 to 30 folks playing yesterday. So that's really exciting. I've been playing Pokemon TCG seriously for about 4 months. Well, since March. And I would say I only really started diving into Pokemon TCG like fall of last year. That being said, I had a lot of trading card game experience in the past. I used to be really into Magic. I played a lot of Hearthstone, of course. And I also played a lot of Pokemon Pocket on the phone and Pokemon TCG Live on the computer. So I bring a lot of card game experience into Pokemon, but this is my first time playing in person. It's always different playing in person. The nerves are different. But I was really excited that this local weekly game store, I got top four, and I'm going to share all about how I did that today, what deck I used, what my matchups were. And yeah, if you think that this kind of content is interesting, this kind of video is interesting, let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoy this special presentation. I'm doing this kind of like a little vlog, a little video diary, if you will, about my first Pokemon TCG experience in person. Really fun, really awesome. So I hope you enjoy. So, like I said, I got top four, went 4-1, and the deck I used yesterday was the, if I can change the slideshow, and if you're watching, yeah, this is a little bit of a different presentation format than what we usually do. I'm trying something new. Let me know if you like it or not. The first deck I used, Poison Archaludon. Now, this list, I did pull some of it from online on Limitless TCG for those who are wanting to play Pokemon TCG competitively or like at a intermediate to high level. I recommend learning to net deck. I think people used to be really, when I played Magic like 10, 15 years ago, people were really against that. People were really judgy about that. But I think now net decking, which means to go online, pull from people's deck lists and build it on your own, it's more accepted. Anyways, the deck I played was Poison Archaludon. This is a bit of a homebrew. I know it's going to be a lot of similar themes of other deck lists you find online. And if this deck list matches exactly to some other person's, I give them all the credit. This is the deck list that I kind of landed on playing through TCG Live. And of course, now playing in person, getting my record. So it's a pretty standard Archaludon package or Archaludon deck with the poison package. For those who don't know how Archaludon with poison works, is with the poison package, if you can get your Brute Bonnet, your Pekaruntin deactive, your Perilous Jungle as well, you can do turn one wins. And then if you don't get the turn one win, and now you have kind of some pressure in the active slot with the Pekarunt while you set up your Archaludon in your bench, getting energies from the discard onto your Archaludon when they evolve from Duraludon to Archaludon. And then now you have this 220 attacker. Most Pokemon have more than 220 health, so to get around that, you can use Binding Mochi as well as extra poison to push beyond that 220 attack and try to donk, as they say, or try to, hit Pokemon for one hit and then clear them out. You do 3-4 donks depending on the prize trade, and then you win the game. Yeah, this deck, I really like it because it's aggressive. You can get those turn one wins, which is honestly feels a little worse in person when it's like you both sit down and play a game. But we'll talk about that. You can get those turn one wins, but I really like it because it's aggressive and you're playing cards like Carmine, which let you discard your hand and draw 5 cards, and Squawkabilly and Professor's Research. You're constantly just refreshing your hand so that you have something to do each turn, ideally. If you pass a turn without doing anything, that's kind of bad news for this deck. But that has happened a couple times last night, which I might talk about later. So this is the deck list I use. Feel free to steal it. Feel free to use it. No crazy highlights here. The only thing I would say that has won me a couple times is the Blood Moon Ursaluna. A lot of times opponents don't go to 1, so I end up attaching 1 energy to it to bring it to let it do its 240 attack plus the Binding Mochi, plus the Poison Tick. That has cleared me out a lot of games. And the one card that I thought I'd be using more but didn't at all is actually Hops Zacian. I only put this here because of Cornerstone Ogerpon, which if a Pokemon has ability, it can't attack, or it does no damage to it, but I ended up not using it at all. I didn't run into a single Terra Box or Wall or Cornerstone Ogerpon, so he was just kind of there. But that was the deck list I used. So how did I do? I spoiled it at the beginning, but I went top 4 with 4 wins, 1 loss. Not bad for somebody who doesn't play in person that much. This was my first in-person thing. Asterisk, I did go to Pokemon Regionals as a spectator this past March in Vancouver. I didn't compete. I just played the side events. I was mostly going as a spectator to hang out, meet some people. But that lit a fire in me. I really wanted to play more after that. So I ended up spending the next couple months waiting until I had time to play something like this. I ended up going top 4, 4 wins, 1 loss. And I'll go through each matchup to tell you about how I did and all that. That being said, maybe I'll save it at the end. Spoilers for our matchup. First round, I won. I played against this Miraidon Pikachu EX build with a Joltik, a little baby Joltik that lets you pull energy. So this first round, I didn't get my turn 1 donk. I didn't get my turn 1 win, that being said. But I did clear the Joltik easily from the start. And then my opponent, Ty was his name, put a second Joltik and ended up ramping up that Pikachu and Miraidon. That gave me a little bit of a worry. But my deck went as planned. I ripped through it. I ended up evolving into Archaludon. And then once I knocked out, I think one of the Miraidons, I knocked out the Iron Hands, which originally knocked out my Pekka, so the opponent was up 2 cards. And then I swapped in my Archaludon, knocked out Iron Hands easily, and then the opponent put up Pikachu EX, but I don't think he had the energy because he had to attach and pass. But he put a Bravery Charm onto Pikachu. I think it was Bravery Charm, or the one that gives 50 HP, onto Pikachu. And I think that's where the opponent screwed up. What I did was, because with Pikachu's Resolute Heart, if you were to knock it out, you don't actually knock it out from full health to 0. Its HP actually becomes 10, which is actually not an issue for Archaludon Poison, because when Pikachu goes to 10 health, it will just tick on the Pokemon upkeep of the next turn, and then that poison will clear him out. But the opponent put 250 onto the Pikachu. It didn't really matter, because then I put Perilous Jungle down. I used my Brute Bonnet with the booster capsule to put poison on my Charodon and the Pikachu. My Charodon didn't have the boost from the Binding Mochi, but I was able to do 220 on the Pikachu, bringing him from 250 to 30 health, and then I passed my turn on the opponent's upkeep. 30 damage was done onto Pikachu, and then Pikachu passed away. Pikachu was knocked out. And then basically the opponent's main attacker was gone. I only needed 2 more prize cards to win. I ended up bossing up, I think, a Fez and cleared it, and I won round 1. So that was pretty quick. Second round was against Alberto playing Zoroark EX. And this one was also a pretty fast win. I didn't get my turn 1 donk. I think is because they had a couple Pokemon on the bench, but I was able to basically outpace the opponent on setting up their bench and their Pokemon. I was able to get my Archaludon on, and they weren't able to get many of their Zoroarks online to draw onto their ends Pokemon bench. So that was a pretty quick win. I think I knocked out a Zoroark and a couple other things, and then I won round 2 pretty quick. Round 3, this one was tricky. I played against Paulo with Raging Bolt, and I would say at the beginning of the game, we both kind of bricked a little bit. I think I had to put out my Pheasantipity in the active spot. He put out a Latias, so we were like, uh-oh. So neither of us have our main thing going. However, because of the Pheasantipity, because of the Squawkabilly and because of the Carmine, I was able to rip through my deck a lot faster. And then I was able to set up my Archaludon, whereas my opponent didn't really have a card draw. I think even with the Teal Mask Ogre Pawns, they were using to draw into Raging Bolt and all the pieces there. It wasn't enough, so I ended up being faster than my opponent and clearing out the Raging Bolt and Pheasantipodes and Teal Mask Ogre Pawns with my poison package. So that was pretty fast. Let me know how I'm doing so far with the explanations. Okay, it was kind of late. I was still feeling out, trying to figure out what I do. But let me know if you like these explanations or not with how my matches went. Now, the matchup I lost was Goldengo, which feels bad because I actually really like playing Goldengo as well. I have a Goldengo deck, but I decided to play Poison Archaludon tonight. I just felt like I had more success with that online instead of playing Goldengo. Now, I played against this person named Greg. He is what I call a sweat in a good way, in a complimentary way. He's really good at the game, and he tries really hard. He goes to these regionals and these tournaments. He's really good. He knows he's the real deal. So I was playing against him. The game at first, again, we both kind of had some bad opening hands. I actually put him on the back foot first. I was able to get my poison package off and knock out one of his gimme ghouls and put him on the back foot. And we took our time trying to figure out what strategies we want to do. The major mistake I made, I had my poison package up. I was still trying to get my Archaludons up. There was one turn where I managed to get 2 energies. One was already attached. I had the Archaludon in hand. I had the 3rd energy I needed on hand to attach to Archaludon. I was good to start hitting the next turn. What happened was, like I said, I knocked out his gimme ghoul on like turn 2, but I didn't take a prize card. When he noticed that on his turn, he was about to Iono me and looked at my prizes because he was going to knock me down to 5 cards in hand, which is fine. But then he asked if I took a prize card, and I said, oh, shoot, I forgot. I genuinely forgot, right? Like usually in TCG Live, it just gives it to you. You just click something. So I genuinely forgot. We called Judge over. The judge randomly put 1 card to the bottom of my deck, 1 prize to my hand, and 1 other card to the top. And basically, and I took a 2 prize penalty. So my opponent had to take 4 prize cards to win instead of the usual 6. So that was tough. So basically what happened was I evolved the Archaludon anyways. He was going to knock me out. Then I had to... he knocked out my Archaludon. I didn't have another Duraludon on bench ready to evolve for the next turn. That hand that the judge rejiggered pretty much messed up my plan for the next turn. So my opponent pretty much won in 2 turns. My mistake. I learned from that. I need to remember to take the prize cards. No hard feelings. But yeah, that was a tricky game. I feel like it would have been a lot closer. I feel like we would have traded a couple times if I got my Archaludon up online the next turn, because I would have been able to take out the Goldengo, which was already like half poisoned. So that's feels bad. That being said, we chatted a little bit after, asking what I asked Greg what changes does he run in Goldengo. He didn't run any Dunsparce, which is what I run as a bonus draw engine for Goldengo. He just runs a tech with Ceruledge EX, which with more energy in the discard, they'll hit harder. So he ran that. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll copy that as well, or I'll be inspired to add that to my Goldengo deck. But that was really good. That was a good round. My one loss, I think Greg ended up winning it all, so I lost against the person in first place. So shout out to Greg. The last round was against a person named Jesse, and this was, spoiler alert, the one that I got the turn 1 win. And my opponent, Jesse, super cool with it. He's a pro. He's played games a lot. He knew what was coming when he saw the Peck run in the active. But basically, I got the God Hand. When we were setting up, I drew my Pekkarunt, put it in the active, and then my opponent put just Badoo. I chose to go first. I drew a card. In my hand was Secret Box, which is already like kind of the big tool piece to grab everything anyways. But I already had Ancient Booster Capsule in my hand, and I had Perilous Jungle, and I had the Ultra Ball. So I Ultra Balled for Brute Bonnet, Patch Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, and then my opponent asked, it's like, do you have it? And I showed him Secret Box. Like, yeah, I can pull Perilous Jungle from my deck. And he's like, all right, good game. So we called it there. And then, yeah, that was my final win. I got the turn one win off in the end. Out of all 5 of my games, I would say that was pretty good. My opponent was super cool with it. And then I reported my win, and I went 4-1. Ended up playing a second game anyways, just to kill time. Like, no point sitting around half an hour while everybody else finishes. We ended up playing the second game, and I made a couple mistakes here and there with how I played Pokemon. But basically, he played his Badoo, Monkey Dory, Frostlass. He had a better opening hand than me, played Badoo. Once he started itchy pollinating me, I couldn't play my Nest Balls, my Ultra Balls. And I was just frantically digging and discarding my hand with Professor's Research and Carmine, trying to get my Duraludons up, and I just could not. Even when I knocked out 2 Badoo, he just Night Stretchered them back out onto the field. It was really funny. So shout out to Jesse. That was a really great game and really good learning experience. And thanks for being cool with the turn 1 donks. So in conclusion, I would say I had a lot of fun with this in-person Pokemon TCG. I'll definitely go back again. Shout out to Treasure Chest Games here in Vancouver for hosting me and like a huge group of folks, super diverse community. It was a lot of fun to play in person, definitely in a lot more different. You feel the pressure a little more. Definitely you have to remember to do your own rules and fish for things, but at the same time, like, everyone's super friendly. Met so many cool people. I made 5 more friends last night. And then, yeah, I'm happy to see them again. I learned so much. I learned about all the other events that happen in Vancouver for Pokemon nightlies and weeklies. And then, yeah, seeing all these names, a lot of folks say they do travel to play at the regionals all over the world, all over North America at least. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing them on stream and cheering them on, maybe seeing them on the leaderboards. So that was really fun. I think I'll be back again because there is a really strong Pokemon community here in Vancouver. I think my next step is to try out some different stores to yeah, explore what other folks are playing, where other folks are playing, different times. Of course, time is the biggest issue. This night started at around 6 and ended at like 9:30, 10 by the time I got my prize packs. That being said, I got about 6 prize packs, or 2 Journey Together boosters and 4 prize packs. Didn't pull anything good. But if for like, what is it, $10 and a lot of games, and I got some booster packs out of it, that's good enough for me. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed playing Pokemon TCG in person. I think this will be my next obsession. I don't know. Maybe. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought of this kind of vlog recap diary. Did you learn anything new? Was I able to give any insight into how to play Poison Archaludon? Yeah, I think my one tip for this deck as we close out, I know I should have probably given tips earlier, is to don't be afraid to get aggressive with the Pekarant. Like, it's a 1 prizer, but it has the ability to do like 80 damage a turn if you can get the Perilous Jungle out. So don't be afraid to be aggressive and use it on those EXs that may hit you back, because you'll always have Duraludon to finish them off. That being said, watch out for Monkey Dory. You don't want to give them ammo to shoot back at you. So watch out for Monkey Dory. It's the tricky one. That's the tricky one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this type of content. If you did, let me know below. If you want to hear more about my Pokemon vlogs and journeys and all that, let me know. Let me know how I can improve on these, and give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you really like it. Thank you so much. Find us at Grow Up Level Up on everything, and see you next time for our regular scheduled programming. Talk to you later.